All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the sincere apostles and elders of a great millstone who are my teachers, and peace and salutations to you brothers out there preaching this word in truth and sincerity. This is the brother Yahweh Sap with another lesson. This one's just going to be going into news and prophecy concerning the mark of the beast. All right, because earlier I was listening to some lessons, and in between those lessons, this video happened to pop up, and there was a few key points in here that I wanted to go ahead and touch on, because they were talking about the banking crisis, the situation going on over there in Japan, all right, and then just the whole world economy overall. So I recommend watching this. I recommend watching this video. It's about almost an hour long. I will try to make this as quick and edifying as possible, as I am on my lunch break for the plantation. So yeah, however, this is edifying, uplifting. But bear with me as I will be going through the transcript, because I was listening to this during while I was working, so I didn't get to see the exact points, like the timestamps of when these points were made. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this lesson play, and then we'll get into some scriptures.
This is the global sovereign debt bubble, the everything bubble. What just happened in Japan took a lot of us by alarm, and we now think that the clock has been set for the global unwind of the debt, and it's gonna, in conjunction with a weakening U.S. economy. I'm predicting it just the clock started. We think it's going to manifest over the next 24 months. And our economic indicators started rolling over again in March. They've gone down every month since March. And then here we are going into the most controversial election ever, and something broke. China's economy is imploding, and it's very, very bad there. So they need to, one of the greatest fears the Chinese power elite have is their own people. So the classic tactic is, when all else fails, take them to war. The time frame between crises is getting shorter, and we need to keep accelerating the debt growth even faster. So that's why it's getting very precarious. Every time they do.
And so this is pretty much like the summary of everything that they talk about. And so, as you can hear, the whole world is pretty much in a financial crisis, and these crises they keep getting closer and closer together. And so this is signifying the end of Esau, Edom, and this is prophecy coming to pass, man. So from here, real quick, before I continue letting that video play, I want to go ahead and jump into the book of Second Ezra's, Salakia, Second Ezra chapter 16, and I'm gonna start at verse 17. And it says, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? And that's right, because not only are you going to be having this MOTB being set up, but you're also going to have civil war, martial law, race wars. All these things are going to be taking place, especially over here in America. And we're seeing signs of that taking place all around the world, and that's signifying the end of Esau, Edom. All right, because as we're about to get into it, you're hearing of wars and rumors of wars, and you're seeing all these things of the uprising of the people, man. You're seeing the digital ID system being implemented in these different countries. All right, you're seeing the Israelites wake back up. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians. A lot of our people now know who they are. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say that I believe, in my own humble opinion, that the majority of our people know who they are. They know that they're Israelites. They know that who the Lord is. They just refuse to serve him. They're just part of the 2/3. And so, with all this taking place, as we're about to get into in verse 18, it says, excuse me, I had the hiccups. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when this evil shall come? And that's right, because these evils, they've been taking place. It's been steadily getting worse and worse. Every year that America is set up as a country, it's been getting worse and worse. And then especially now in this year in 2024, you've been seeing more and more Jake being flooded in, quote unquote immigrants being flooded into America, man. You're seeing more and more Jake wake up. You're seeing more and more uprising of the people, especially over here in America. You're seeing people revolt, man. You're seeing homelessness at an all-time high, millions of people losing their jobs. You're seeing what's it called? Companies shut down, big companies, man, like Shell. They haven't shut down, but they are planning on closing over 1,000 gas stations, Salaki, and that's a lot, man. So this is these are all the beginning of things to come, man. It's only going to get worse from here. And so it says, verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And that's right. So, hey, there's going to be a lot of death, a lot of great judgment that's going to be taking place from on high, from the Heavenly Father Yahweh through His Son Yahweh Shai. Hey, this is all going to be taking place, and while this is going on, you're also going to be having these MOTB be implemented. All right, and it's all starting from the top, man, from the banking situation, and it's going to crumble. All right, you're going to see the economy get worse and worse. I went to the grocery store the other day, and milk was $4, man. And it was just like $2, almost $3. Now it's four. So hey, it's going to get a lot worse, and that's because where I live, over here in Texas, man, that you would never see a gallon of milk that high. You're starting to see eggs go up, man, and a lot of recalls in food that are taking place as well. That famine, okay. And so it says in verse 23, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. And that's right. So these cities are about to be cast down, and this is what we're seeing. And so I'm going to go ahead and bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through this transcript real quick. That way I can go ahead and get into more of the lesson. So let me see. I'm going to start it right here.
Central bank. The Fed broke the Bank of Japan, and now the clock has started counting down towards a global debt crisis. Here to explain this and more and give us his outlook on the markets, gold, and Bitcoin is Edward Dowd. Ed is the founding partner of Finance Technologies. He's over 3 decades of experience in finance, including working as a portfolio manager at BlackRock, the world's biggest asset manager. He's also the author of Cause Unknown. Ed, nice to have you back with us. Thanks for joining us again.
Michelle, great to be here. Thanks for having me on again.
Ed, very good to have you back with us. Before we get into where we are now with the Fed and the Bank of Japan and interest rates, I want to pick up where we left off last time. And you were on in late March of 2023. We just had 3 of the 4 largest bank failures in U.S. history were in the midst of the banking crisis. And you were expecting an emergency rate cut by July from the Fed following those banking collapses. Now, instead, we got the Bank Term Funding Program and other creative solutions, but there was no rate cut. In fact, the Fed hiked rates. There were 3 more 25 basis point hikes after that, with rates peaking at the 5.25% to 5.5% range about a year ago, and the Fed has held steady since. So let's begin with what happened there, why you weren't correct, why didn't that rate cut happen, in your opinion?
Yes, Michelle, we did have a misstep in our prediction. We were wrong on the interest rate cuts. They, in fact, raised a few more times. The good news is they prevented a bank run. The Federal Reserve instituted the Bank Term Funding Program because the assets in their held-to-maturity account were way underwater, and people were starting to get nervous, and that's why we had those bank failures. So what the Fed did is lent the banking system short-term loans to prevent these bank runs. And they unfortunately took away those loans in March 11th of this year. They ended the program. And at the time that we made the call, the credit markets hadn't yet deteriorated. Now we are in the part of the economic cycle where credit is deteriorating, and the Fed is not going to give loans against bad credit on the bank books. So that's one thing we were wrong on. The other thing we were wrong on, we were calling for a recession in Q3 and Q4 of last year. Our economic cycle indicators, which is our proprietary black box leading indicators, showed a recession coming in that time frame. And what happened in October, along with the Federal Reserve's Bank Term Funding Program, the government went on a spending They've seen the deficit explode. They juiced the economy and they created government jobs. At the same time, they were also manufacturing payroll numbers. It's been well documented that the payroll numbers have been revised down after every month to the tune of 1.5 million jobs. So, and Jerome Powell recently even stated the payroll numbers are in question. 2 meetings ago, he indicated that there's some question about that. So what we did get in our economic indicators starting in October was a bounce. And we saw our economic indicators bounce. But what's important to understand is they bounced and never got above the zero line, which is expansion. So whatever the juice that the government did and the Fed fixed, it kind of didn't get us into expansion. It kind of delayed the recession, so to speak. And our economic indicators started rolling over again in March. They've gone down every month since March. And then here we are going into the most controversial election ever, and something broke. And our expectations before the Bank of Japan crisis was that we were going to see a little correction into.
And so pretty much you're starting to see the value of the dollar. All right. And so these different countries that are within these banks, you're going to start seeing their banks failing. That agree with America, you're going to start seeing these banks fail. Their economy is collapsing, and it's all going to lead into what they call the UBI system. Which, if you don't know what that is, UBI stands for Universal Basic Income. All right, because at some point, very soon, man, Yahweh Razah, very soon, we're gonna see that the money that you have, it's not gonna have it already doesn't. It doesn't have the same buying power that it used to, and so that's why they're freaking out over this whole Japan crisis. Because if you look at a lot of stuff that is made, they're either made from Japan or made from China, and so if their economy is failing, if their banking system is failing, the dollar that we spend and we trade to be able to get their goods, we're no longer going to be able to do that. So there's going to have to be some sort of solution that the government is going to have to do to take over these things, man. And so pretty much what he ends up doing is he ends up going into saying that there's going to be 6 to 8 banks globally that are going to be ran. And I'm going to go ahead and skip down to that point, and that way we can move on with the lesson. But like I said, I recommend watching this lesson. Not this lesson, this video. That way you can get more clarification.
Let me clarify. There won't be just 6 to 8 banks, but the majority of banking will be done with 6 to 8 banks. There'll be some banks left, but they won't have a lot of depositors. I expect this to, let's give it 12 to 24 months. And you got to remember, in the great financial crisis, this happened fast. A bunch of shotgun marriages happened overnight. Merrill Lynch disappeared. Lehman Brothers went poof. Bear Stearns went puff. And AIG essentially went bankrupt. This could happen fast, but I'd like to see it happen more slowly over 2 years with some sort of control. I know that sounds insane, but we don't want to live in a world where financial markets are crashing 50, 60% in a month. We just don't want to live in that world.
I don't think we want to live in a world, though, Ed, that only has 6 to 8 banks and the control that comes along with that. And as you say, that then ushers the way for a central bank digital currency to be put forward in a much more seamless way.
We don't want to live in that world either. But, the more time we have not to panic, the more time we can mount a resistance. And you and I were on here a year ago, and look at all the awareness of central bank digital currencies as being something that people should be alarmed about. We have politicians introducing bills. So the good news is, the slower it goes, the resistance that we can mount to it, the faster it goes, people will panic into it, I think. So I'm actually quite pleased in the progress that was made over the last year. Candidates are highlighting the dangers of a central bank digital currency. So the issue is at least out there, as opposed to where it was a year ago, where people were really not even talking about it as much as they are now.
Right. That is the upside.
And the big reason why they're talking about it is because you have the prophets out on the highways and hedges preaching this word. All right. And it says, I'm going to go ahead and grab it, that the Lord's word wouldn't return unto him void, but it will accomplish that which he pleases. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 55 and verse 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So these people are being warned, and they're being let known about the wickedness of the CBDC system. Because ultimately it's gonna be a chip that's going to be implanted either in your forehead or in your right hand, as pertaining to Revelation 13, which we'll go ahead and grab. And these are the signs that are leading up to it. The banks crashing worldwide, a global debt crisis. All right, all these things are leading up to the mark of the beast. And so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and I'm going to start at verse 16. And it says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." And so this is why everybody is getting in panic mode regarding the CBDC system, because they know what it's going to lead to. They know the control, which they go more into. I'm going to let the video play a little bit longer, but they go more into it, man. And this goes to show you that these people out here, hey, they know what's going on, man. These news anchors, it's getting to the point to where mainstream media is talking about these things, man. All right, it can no longer be ignored. And this is why you have Esau. He's cracking down on freedom of speech, man. He's cracking down on what anti-Semitism. All right, he's changing definitions of words. All right, he's doing a lot, and it may seem like, oh, none of these things have to do with each other, but Esau likes to do things in gradualism. All right, and so he'll change the law here, he'll change the definition here, and then you won't really realize that they connect until it's too late. But hey, call Allah Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shah, you have the prophets out here that are preaching and making it known these nefarious plans that the wicked have behind closed doors. All right, and now people are starting to realize it. They're slowly waking up, like, oh, that's why all these things are happening. They want to implement a system, but the majority of the people here, hey, they're gonna end up falling victim onto this mark, man. All right, and so from here, I want to jump to the book of Revelation 14, and I'm gonna start at verse 9, because this is what's going to happen if you worship this system, if you take that chip, man, if you take the mark. This is what's going to happen, and this is why it's expedient for you to have faith in Yahweh by Shemi Shai now, so more than ever, because these things are only going to get worse. And so the book of Revelation, chapter 14, I'm going to start at verse 9. "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." That's right, because the Lord is going to allow you to be tortured, man. He's going to burn you with that thermonuclear fire if you take this chip and if you worship Esau and his image. All right, and so I'm gonna let this video play a little bit longer, and then we'll close out.
Right, is that there's a lot more awareness about central bank digital currencies, and a reminder to our viewers that is a form of fiat currency issued by a country's central bank, which essentially allows the bank to control every transaction, saying what transactions can and cannot happen. And it also creates complete transparency. There's no anonymity, there's no privacy. Every single transaction can be viewed. And then it also would arguably allow for what some say is fine-tuning of monetary policy, where they could just click away some of the money supply or click back in the money supply by just taking out some of the money in everybody's individual wallet to the central bank digital currency. A lot of potential negatives there. Why would fewer banks help facilitate that process?
It gives people less choice. Not every bank would be set up for central bank digital currency. It's just central planning requires fewer, bigger players. So it's easier to implement if there's a lot fewer players to impose this upon. So it's an operational thing. It's just easier to do.
Right. And as you were saying, look, we have had a lot more awareness about this, which is a positive. Certainly when people like...
So, I'm going to jump down a little bit to where they start talking about the negatives of the CBDCs. All right, because she mentioned how you can get your stuff shut off with the click of a button. But this guy, he goes into a little bit more of it, breaking it down about how negatively impactful this will be towards everyone who takes it. All right, or who agrees with it. So bear with me, Akiam and Aquathium. All right, let's see. All right, so we're gonna start at we'll start at 30 minutes.
President Trump, and okay, Kennedy, an independent, but I haven't heard anyone on the Democratic side speak against a CBDC.
Well, that's because they're control freaks, and they would love that tool to be able to implement all sorts of crazy control freak policies. They seem to have a belief system that if you don't agree with them, you're evil, and they want to impose any way they can their belief system on the general populace. That's my personal opinion. That's why Democrats will never be against a CBDC.
Hey, he's been
So does
watching
that mean
GMS.
that if we have a Democratic administration in power, that then increases the odds of a CBDC being passed, even though there's a motion and Powell has said it would need to go through Congress?
Yeah, the chances are higher. So I think voting Democrat this time is insanity at this point, given what we're seeing come out of Kamala Harris's mouth and her new VP pick, Tim Walz. They're both socialists. They both believe in DEI. They believe in taking from those who produce and giving it to those who don't. I mean, it's communism light.
All right. Well, back to CBDCs. You know, there is progress happening in other parts of the world, regardless of what the U.S. is doing. We know that according to the Atlantic Council Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker, 134 countries representing 98% of global GDP are exploring a...
You hear that? Hey, 134 countries representing 98% of the global GDP are exploring a CBDC. In the May of 2020, that number was only 35. You know, as she keeps going into, I'm reading it from the transcript, but pretty much, you know, it goes to show you that how much Esau has been working behind closed doors. And so from here, I want to jump to the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1, and it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Therefore, thus saith Adonai Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, and neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. And that's right. So the Most High is going to be the one to ultimately judge this place, man, and allow for its destruction. All right. And as we just read, ye shall not remove your neck. So Esau, he's going to be in a complete helpless state whenever these things are finally implemented, with all these prophecies finally come to pass. He's going to be in that helpless state to where whenever Yahushua cracks some clouds open, he's not going to know what to do. He's going to try to fight back, and then it's all going to end. All right, he's going to try to run to his bunker. All right, he's going to try to save himself, but we know that it's not going to happen. All right, so all these things, he's been doing these things behind closed doors. All right, he's been making these nefarious plans. He's been working this evil upon their bed. All right, every morning they wake up finding a way to go ahead and oppress you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and North American Indians, you true biblical Israelites, and also to implement their NWO, which is ultimately going to consist of that MOTB. All right, and so this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, and I'm gonna start at verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh, which is talking about the Israelites. It says, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So this ultimately is why Esau Edom wants to go ahead and implement this chip, man. He wants to go ahead and move forward with this NWO so that way he can go ahead and be like the Most High. That's why he has satellites all in the sky, man, that are watching you every move. That's why your phone is constantly recording you, man. All right. There's constant surveillance that's going on. As a matter of fact, just for edification's sake, I want to grab that word surveillance. Oversight, supervision, watch, spying. For oversight, supervision, they watch,
CSC
oversee,
Service
watch.
Works
So
is a
he wants
leading
to be,
provider
he
of
wants to
great
be
laundry
the watcher,
experiences
pretty
across the
much.
country.
He's the one that wants to be spying on you, supervising you, saying what you can and you can't do. He wants to eliminate the Most High out of everyone's lives completely, man. What's gonna happen? Verse 15, Isaiah 14 and verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And so ultimately, Esau Edom's judgment is going to be a very painful death, man. And he's not going to remove his neck, as we just read. It says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?" And that's right, because when people finally wake up and this man is brought down, the Edomite, the so-called white man, is brought down, and he's put under our foot, man. All right, and we have our foot upon his necks. Well, now everyone, the whole nations that were once under him, are gonna look upon him like, man, really, this is the God that we were serving. Why do we even do it? It's not gonna make sense once they wake up, man. And so I'll let a few more minutes of this video play, and then we'll go ahead and end it off.
CBDC. In May of 2020, that number was only 35, so certainly a big acceleration there. And currently, 68 countries are in advanced phases of exploration. 19 of the G20 countries are now reportedly in advanced stages of CBDC developments. We've also got a new report from the Bank of Canada suggesting that Canada's central bank sees digital currencies as necessary to maintain monetary sovereignty and financial stability as the use of cash declines. The bigger point here, Ed, is that if the rest of the world goes along with this, can the U.S. not? Can the U.S. be left out?
The U.S. is going to be probably.
Which, if you don't know, the U.S. is going to be the leading, what's it called? I'll just say country that's going to be trying to implement this, man.
Probably where the resistance mounts from. So if we fail at this, then eventually it's a global slavery surveillance state. The CBDC is the linchpin of that digital.
Hey, you heard that? Then it's a global slavery surveillance state. Hey, there you go. That's what the man wants. That's what the so-called white man wants.
If everything you do is tracked, it's a disaster for the individual freedom. It's also a tool to implement crazy progressive policies. You know, if people are worried about methane from cow farts, they could then institute, beef quotas, and you can't ring up your groceries at the register, because that's how deep this will go if they have this kind of control. So we have to oppose this.
Let's hear that again.
Freedom is going to be probably, if everything you do is tracked, it's a disaster for the individual freedom. It's also a tool to implement crazy progressive policies. You know, if people are worried about methane from cow farts, they could then institute, beef quotas, and you can't ring up your groceries at the register, because that's how deep this will go if they have this kind of control. So we have to.
There you go. Hey, that's how deep it will go if they have that type of control, man. You'll be at the gas station trying to fill up your car, and hey, you'll get a notification on the gas pump telling you, hey, you reached your daily gas limit, and hey, it's gonna be like that, or your weekly gas limit. You can only pour 50 gallons of gas a week. You know, that's how crazy this is going to get, and that's how deep it's going to go. That's why they're talking about. They've also talked about what's it called? The carbon footprint, where they keep an eye on everything you do, man. The greenhouse effect. You even have Bill Gates that's talking about, which he's not just talking about, he's actually doing it. He's been buying a farmland and whatnot. But pretty much, he came out and said that cows are also causing global warming. All right, and that is a major problem, and that there needs to be a way that we can get meat without having to kill the cows for it or whatnot. And so, pretty much, that's why he's been promoting artificial food, man. He's been promoting bioengineered food, whatever terms they want to use for it. That's what Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has been doing, man. And so, if you're paying attention, if you're taking heed, then you know that this is all part of his plan. And as you can see, these things are happening quicker and quicker, man. So I'll post the link of this lesson in the description. That way you brothers and sisters can watch it on your own time. But I do have to go ahead and get going, man. So we'll end it off on this in the book of Revelation, chapter 12. Well, we'll get this one and we'll get one more. So it said, therefore rejoice ye heavens, Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And so that's right. So Esau, Edom, he knows that he has a short time, and so he's coming down with that great wrath. And if you don't agree with it, you don't take it. Hey, well, guess what? They're gonna put you in camps, man. They're gonna put you in prison. All right, they're gonna put you. They're gonna take you, man, pretty much. And you don't agree with that system, well, you're gonna be killed. Ultimately, that's gonna be the judgment. If you don't have Yahweh Bashim Shai, the hedge of protection around you, and you're not part of the elect, well, then ultimately your judgment is death, man. And that's why it's important that you pray and that you fast and that you call upon the names of Yahweh Bashim Shai. That way, hey, you don't get caught up in this judgment, man. Hey, speaking to myself first and foremost. And so from here, we ended off on this, the book of Second Ezra, chapter 16. And I'm going to start at verse 73. It says, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith Adonai Yahweh, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. And why are they going to be known? Because first and foremost, you're going to tell based off of the spirit that they have from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shai. And you're going to have brothers out there that are healing the sick, raising the dead. All right, they might be fighting against Esau with spiritual power, man. Who knows what kind of lot that the Lord has in store for us. You're going to see some of us get put to death, man. You know, all for a testimony of Yahweh Bashim Shai's word. All right, and so it says, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, because ultimately there's going to be constant temptations that are around you, man. Just go 1 week without working, man, and try to buy some groceries. That's how it's going to be whenever that chip is implemented, man. But all the time. So how are you going to eat? How are you going to feed your family if you have one, man? How are you going to maintain the bills that you have? Well, that's why it's important that you don't set yourself up for failure, man. You don't set up treasures here down on earth, but you set up treasures up in the heavens. By doing what? By repenting, first and foremost, calling upon the names of Yahweh by Shemi Shai, doing lessons, going out into the highways and hedges, fellowshipping, being charitable unto the brethren, you know, and ultimately having faith in Yahweh by Shemi Shai. And so, continuing in 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 74, it says, hear, O ye my beloved, saith Adonai Yahweh, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith Adonai Yahweh. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. That's right. So, hey, if you make a mistake, move on, bro. Move on. You did it. Learn from it. Do better. All right. And then it says, be ye not afraid neither doubt, for Yahweh is your guide. And so if you've been studying, you've been doing your due diligence, when that time approaches, if you're one of the chosen, you'll be straight in that day. And you got to move with faith in that, man, believing that you are one of the chosen, believing and moving like it, man. You gotta move like it too. The Lord is constantly watching us, man. All right. Surveilling us. Ultimately, the Lord is up there in the heavens, having his angels all around us, man, taking down everything that we're doing, man, it down to the very intents of our heart, you know. So, hey, just be on guard, man. Hey, stay on your toes, stay prayed up, stay repented. All right, continue to call upon the names of Yahweh Bashmi Shai, because as we can see, these things are being implemented. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. If you call it conspiracy theory, then ultimately you're blind. Hey, and the Lord's going to judge you accordingly, man. And so once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Radazah, this lesson is edifying, uplifting of the spirit. Don't allow this to put fear in your heart from men, but allow the fear of Yahweh Bashim outside to be put on you, to be put in you, to move, to cleanse yourself spiritually, man. And hey, keep pushing, man. Keep having faith. Know that if we're not only called, we're chosen. We'll be saved up out of this, man. And so, just continue moving forward with your faith, man, and wax stronger and stronger. And so, with that being said, man, I pray that this lesson was edifying. And until the next time I say, Shalom.